Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to recap an excellent series called Mayor of Kingstown, so let's jump right into it. At the beginning of the story, jail guard Sam is working in the Kingstown Town Jail, where the male inmates are busy exercising. Even inside the prison, the illegal trade has not disappeared. A short while later, the alarm sounded, signaling all the prisoners to return to their respective cells. A gang leader remained outside his cell and confronted rookie jail guard Sam. He ordered Sam to smuggle in an illegal item. When Sam did not comply, he threatened to reveal that Sam had previously smuggled a large amount of money and drugs to a former inmate. If Sam's corruption was exposed, he would be imprisoned in the same prison and hunted down by the very gang leader standing in front of him. Out of fear, Sam admitted that he had helped the gang leader before, but at that moment, he could not break the law. When the inmate threatened him again, Sam managed to restrain himself and attacked the prisoner until he fell to the floor. Realizing he was being pressured, Sam struck himself to make it look like he had acted in self-defense. He called for help and pretended that he had been attacked by the inmate. But his plan backfired because the inmate still had enough strength left to overpower him, leaving Sam completely defeated. A few moments later, Sam's fellow guards arrived and restrained the inmate before the matter escalated further. Sam was taken to the clinic. Due to the severity of his head injury, the doctor had to stitch up the wound on his forehead. When Captain Moore and other jail guards asked Sam what had happened, he lied. He told them that the inmate had been insulting him for a long time. He said that he ordered the prisoner to return to his cell, but the prisoner was stubborn. The inmate approached him, so Sam pushed him back into the cell. Then the prisoner fought back and attacked him. To defend himself, Sam said he took out his baton and hit the inmate several times. However, he was dragged onto the cement, so he called for help from his companions. Captain Moore told him that his first mistake was allowing the inmate to approach him instead of calling for backup immediately. They later discovered that the person Sam had fought was the leader of a gang. To ensure Sam's safety from the gangsters in custody, they decided to transfer him to the watchtower. An official further clarified that Sam's transfer to the watchtower was not a punishment, but for his protection. A few days later, Sam was seen keeping watch from the top of the tower, while the prisoners below were getting fresh air and exercising. Soon after, he noticed suspicious behavior among the inmates. While using the telescope, he saw that a major riot was gradually breaking out. He immediately pressed the emergency alarm. As the alarm sounded, the prisoners began rioting. Armed with tear gas, the jail guards stationed upstairs responded quickly. As the chaos continued, they released tear gas, which hit several prisoners. When the riot still did not stop, they fired warning shots, forcing inmates to fall to the ground. But in the midst of the chaos, two fellow guards were attacked by a prisoner. The officer gave the order to shoot to kill, so Sam fired 3 shots. Unfortunately, instead of hitting the perpetrators, he accidentally shot the victims. Moments later, guards in full battle gear entered the yard and restrained the inmates one by one. Meanwhile, Sam realized his mistake as he remained positioned on the watchtower. Prison officials later discussed Sam's shortcomings in his duty as a jail guard. The warden questioned why the inexperienced Sam had been transferred to the watchtower in the first place. Captain Moore replied that they thought it was the best way to separate Sam from the prisoners. The warden firmly stated that Sam could not be returned to the watchtower. Ed suggested that they could put Sam on discharge duty in the receiving department, or even assign him to patrol outside the area. Tim defended his nephew Sam, saying that he had done nothing wrong. The warden interrupted again, clarifying that this was not a punishment but a measure for Sam's protection. He insisted that Sam would be killed if the inmates and even the warden himself admitted that given the chance, the prisoners would take revenge. The warden suggested transferring Sam to the women's prison. Captain Moore and Ed laughed, saying that Sam would just end up fighting with the female inmates and that transferring him there would only create new problems. The warden became angry and said that if they could not trust Sam, then he would have to change careers. Sam was left with only 2 choices: transfer to the women's prison or be removed from service. The captain eventually agreed to transfer Sam to the women's prison. The next thing they discussed was the riot that had happened. The warden asked what had happened to the gangsters' exclusion plan they were implementing. Captain Moore said they did what they had to do, but it was simply difficult to get criminal prisoners to obey. The warden could think of no other way to control the prisoners, so he said they would lock them down in their respective cells. The prisoners became angry when the alarm sounded, signaling that they would now only stay inside their cells and would not be allowed to go outside for fresh air. Even if they went wild, they could do nothing because that was the punishment for the trouble they had caused. The scene then shifts to Sam, who had been assigned to the women's prison. As he waited in line to go to the classroom, he heard various suggestive words from the women. Others behaved indecently in front of him. An inmate named Cherry showed interest in him, which Sam noticed. The professor, standing behind him, asked which insane officer had transferred him there. Sam explained that it was for his safety after an incident in the men's prison. The professor warned him that he was not safe there either, because the female inmates were no different from the males. The female inmates would definitely try to use him as well. He was even told not to have any contact with the inmates. While the professor was teaching about human evolution, Cherry used a mirror to secretly catch glimpses of Sam standing behind her. In the break room, the jail guards discussed the differences between a maximum security men's prison and a women's prison. Sam joked that the day felt like a vacation compared to the men's prison, where he had been thrown into the dangerous jungle. Another jail guard warned him to just wait and see what would happen. They gave Sam some lessons about incidents that usually occurred before the inmates went to bed. Sometimes, an inmate would cry and act out. Someone might tell a sad story about their life. Someone might deliberately peek while getting dressed, and then complain to the supervisor. Also, inmates were advised not to form relationships with colleagues. They also informed Sam of the unique dangers in the women's prison, and advised him to act like a robot. He just needed to follow all the internal rules exactly so his work there could run smoothly. When it was bedtime, they closed each cell's door one by one, until they discovered an inmate using a cell phone. The inmate refused to hand over the phone, but the jail guard still confiscated it. Inside a cell, Sam and Cherry met again, and she asked if he was okay. As he looked at her, he felt attracted. He mistakenly closed the cell door without realizing it, and continued working. The next day, Sam was again assigned to guard the line of inmates entering the classroom. While walking, one of the inmates deliberately pushed Cherry towards Sam. Cherry held on to Junjun while whispering to Sam that they would meet at night. A jail guard told Sam to be strict. Otherwise, the inmates would exploit his weakness. That night, Sam made his rounds around the prison and made sure all the lights inside the cells were turned off. When he passed by Cherry's cell, he found her lying unconscious. He stared, and it felt as if his body was on fire. What he did not know was that Cherry was secretly filming him using a hidden cell phone. One day in the control room, Sam was assigned to check on Cherry's condition, as she seemed to be writhing in pain. The inmate said her side was in extreme pain. A colleague in the control room advised Sam to take her to the clinic. They were about to get a stretcher, but Cherry insisted she could walk. While heading to the clinic, she pulled him under the stairs where there were no cameras. Cherry immediately kissed Sam, but he managed to hold back. The inmate assured him that there was no CCTV in that corner and no one would see them. Sam tried to resist the temptation, but eventually gave in and had sex with the female inmate. While Sam was busy, Cherry slowly took out a pencil hidden in her hair. Then the inmate repeatedly stabbed him in the neck. She did not stop until Sam was dead, covering up the crime she committed. Cherry screamed and asked for help while crawling out of the stairs. She claimed that Sam had exploited her and that she defended herself, which ended in murder. Sam's inexperience and innocent nature led him to disaster. He easily fell victim to a female inmate, skilled in deception and accustomed to violence. In the hours that followed, prison staff discussed the incident. The investigator informed the professor that there was no Miranda warning inside the prison compared to outside. The trust between jail guard and inmate was thin and dangerous. And in Sam's case, that trust was used against him until his death. The investigator found no reason to defend Cherry's crime, because there were no lacerations or wounds on her private parts. There was no sign that she had fought back, as there were no scratches on Sam's face or arms, and there were no wounds on Cherry's body to prove she had defended herself. The only wound seen on Cherry was a scratch on her hand from her own attack. Meanwhile, Sam suffered 3 pencil stab wounds to the neck, a clear sign of extreme anger. In addition, Sam's death coincided with the murder of his brother-in-law, Tim, a jail guard at the men's prison. Because of this, investigators began to doubt Cherry's claim of self-defense. They knew that threatening or deceiving someone like Cherry was useless. Investigators asked the professor for help because he was the only one who could get the inmate to confess. If they really wanted to know the truth, they needed to talk to her directly, ask questions about things that did not match up, and above all, speak to her with compassion, a strategy rarely used inside prison. But perhaps that was their only remaining weapon. Whether Sam was truly guilty or just the victim of a well-planned setup remained a mystery. The professor met with Cherry and said he had been sent there to find out the truth. The female inmate said she had already told everything to the investigators. The professor begged her to tell the truth so that Sam's name could be cleared and his family could receive the benefits and compensation they deserved. The judge directly asked Cherry if it was true that Sam had exploited her. Cherry stood firm and told the professor that the crime Sam committed was true. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to comment below and tell me what movie or series you want me to recap next.